We're just missing Nathan, is that right?
Yeah, he cannot make it, but and Scott's here until his next meeting at 6. But we've got a quorum, otherwise Mark and Steve are on the line.
All righty, great. So the first item on the agenda is to discuss the survey.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Any remarks?
Not on my end. I thought it looked pretty good.
I read through it a couple times. The format looks pretty good. No problems. Maybe one final read through again.
My plan is to circulate this among the town hall employees, kind of the final run through before it goes out to the general public. So I can do that this week. Just a set of eyes helps that hasn't seen this before to maybe see something. So, and a lot of town hall employees live in town too. So,
any remarks about the introduction to the survey? I gave that a run through. It looked good to me. I don't know if anyone had any comments.
What do you think would go to the residents?
I didn't hear that.
When do you think it'd go out to the residents?
Let's tentatively say next Monday.
That's good.
I'll put a deadline on that intro of, let's say if it goes out on the 15th, let's say March 15th, do it a month. If we need more responses, we can push it out again. I'll have it posted on the town's website, the town's social media. We can see if the Auburn News can, maybe do a piece. I don't know if one of you are on the People of Auburn Facebook page. I believe that's a fairly active site. If you're willing to throw it up on that, that might be helpful to garner a response, but I'll leave that up to you. If one of you want to do that.
Scott, you're nodding your head in agreement. Are you on the Facebook People of Auburn?
I am. Yeah, I'm on both of them, I guess. So yeah, I'll certainly, once Adam says it's ready to go out to the public, I can certainly circulate them on there. And just, the intro looked good, and I like that it had plenty of sections where you could insert your own comments or concerns. I thought it was really good.
All right, so I'll send it out to the town hall employees tomorrow morning and have them get it to me by Friday, and it should be good for Monday.
Okay. Do we need to vote on anything, or is that ready to roll upon your completion, Adam?
If you'd like to vote to circulate it, begin circulating on the 15th, that's fine, but I don't think it's really required.
All right, so next item on the agenda is Chapter 4.
Yeah, so Chapter 4, through the chair, was probably one of the longest chapters of raw data of the 7 chapters or 8 chapters. So I figured I'd kind of tackle that first and try to update it. It's certainly a draft, definitely not a final version. But I want to send it out to you all to give you a chance to kind of see through it, see if I added a bunch of stuff that wasn't in the 2014 plan. So that's new material, specifically surrounding like invasive species and beavers and that sort of thing. That was all new. It's become a higher priority, I think, in the past 5 years than prior to some of the effects the invasive species have had on the area. And beavers, they changed the laws on beaver trapping 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. So that's kind of had an impact on the number of beavers that are in the region. So I just wanted to touch on that. So, if you have any thoughts, please let me know. Again, this is just a draft.
An email, Adam, and it was from my car. I apologize. It was a little bit curt, especially for Regarding the water, of course, I skipped down to that just because I'm curious involving any of the recreational water use. And I noticed that it was just mentioned that the last time it was tested, it was deemed dirty back when it was closed. But it might be helpful to know or to make mention of the fact that it was purchased and resold back to Auburn in a clean state.
It's actually owned by the Auburn Water District. So I can contact them to see if they have any data.
Okay, that makes
Rotary
sense.
still owned by the town, but the water body itself is the water district. I can ask I speak to the superintendent somewhat regularly, so I can touch base with him on this.
And a second note regarding the accessibility of the beach being inadequate, which is definitely the case, given that Auburn does seem to own most of the land surrounding the beach, it would make sense that we could possibly change the language of it being currently inadequate, but hopefully we could make it accessible, if not by bike or by walking trails for picnic use or some future use. Just saying that it's inadequate made it feel inaccessible completely for those who might be interested in using it again in some fashion.
Sure, I can reword that. Currently, you're right, is a better use of the words. I mean, right now, there's really is no access. I mean, last time I drove by there a couple of weeks ago, everything was all grown over, and you'd have to really park in the street to park there. But going forward, who knows, that might be able to be changed. So currently,
The town did put in 3 or 4 parking spaces there, and they repaved the area and they did the sidewalks over. I thought that was interesting because it's like the sidewalk that leads nowhere. I don't know if
that
it was
happens.
just done last fall.
I'll look for the sidewalk. I drive by that way about once every couple of weeks, so I'll check that out again.
Sounds good.
There used to be a parking lot there, across from the beach there.
Yeah, there's about 2 acres that the town owns there. It's all overgrown right now. There is, I can show you on the screen. I pulled it up about 15 minutes ago. This is what the face in the pond looks like right now. That's you kind of see the building behind the growth. The other side, this is the town property. On the opposite side, there is, I'm hesitant to call it a driveway. It's not really a driveway, but you can get back there with, maybe a 4-wheel drive vehicle. So it's all pretty overgrown, certainly not safely accessible. So that's what it looks like, at least last spring.
And the railroad tracks are immediately behind that view. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
And those are currently active. That's a CSX railroad. So that wouldn't be viable at this time for trail
Okay.
use.
Okay.
That's the railroad that runs by CSX on West Street, and then it cuts out farther west through Leicester.
Okay.
But
Yeah, a recent update was that sidewalk, and they added an inlet with, I think, maybe 2 to 4 parking spaces. If you scroll forward, yeah, they paved that area where that car is parked
all right.
and added sidewalks.
Yeah, I know there were. You can kind of see the status of this picture of the sidewalks. There are pockets of random sidewalks throughout town. Obviously, This is one of them. There has been, I think it was mentioned in our Complete Streets plan to extend sidewalks in this area, but the sidewalks are needed all over town. So
Yeah.
it's kind of an ongoing project to upgrade all the sidewalks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just thought it was funny that it was done and it stops right at the snack bar, the concrete building there. It looks like it would be in use, but obviously it's not. And it
Yeah.
just stops abruptly.
Yeah, it's, who knows, back in the day when it was originally put in, who knows why, what the thought process was.
Oh no, this was done, I think, recently in October. It was recently redone, and they
Right,
added pavement
Right. But I'm just saying, when the sidewalks were put in
originally. Okay.
originally, I mean, when they repave, I know the Rothschild Street was repaved when they do the sidewalks usually at the same time if they need it, and obviously. Was needed. Maybe this might have been paved underneath all the sand and such, and they just updated it. I don't know.
Those were my only comments. Does anyone have any other discussion?
Just for clarification, the highlighted aspects are things you've added in recently. Is that correct?
The highlighted, no, that's more stuff that I need to check on to see if it's accurate. I'm not sure whether
Okay.
the information. So it's, those highlighted stuff was more for my point to check on, like the DPW annual treatment program. I know they have a program. I just wanted more information on it to add. I know it says Auburn is relatively hilly with this many slopes, but I don't know where that information came from or how accurate it is.
They walk around.
Right.
Okay, no, and that's why I was asking, just trying to clarify if that was newly added, but if there's more work to be done, that makes sense on those and getting that information.
Yeah, a lot of the sources of information were never cited, so it's kind of almost starting from scratch in some respects. And you know, some the highlight stuff, anyways, is my notes.
And this draft eventually gets finalized, and does it go to the state and get recorded there, or where does it go from here?
This is just one chapter, chapter 4. So once all the whole thing is drafted, it'll go to the state for approval.
Okay, thank you.
This was probably the more technical chapter with all the scientific information, and kind of wanted to tackle that first.
On a personal note, if they know how to get rid of the knotweed, I'm more than open to trying to get rid of it, but it's been several years and it just is very, very invasive.
Yes. I will tell you personally, I have found that just keeping it cut down low and digging out the roots has kept it manageable in my garden and such. So just hacking away at it, dig it out.
Yeah, that's the only method I know. I was hopeful you came across something else in your research.
No, nothing easy, unfortunately.
That's all I had. Thank you.
So I have I'll continue updating what I've worked on. If you'd like, I've been working on some of the other chapters, updating the demographic data and cleaning up the language in some of them, and just kind of plugging away at these chapters. There's 9 chapters in total. Some of the chapters aren't very long, just a couple of pages, but I expect to keep kind of shuffling your new chapters when they get a draft.
Who is assisting you on this, Adam?
Nobody.
Oh, so you have to contact each and every expert on what has already been done and what all of this information really means. I mean, there's a lot of information to parse through here.
Yeah, there is, but some of the information is similar to what was put in the master plan, and that was
Right.
a year and a half ago. So wasn't copied from the master plan, but I've taken some and kind of added and updated it.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a slog to go through all the information, but it's it keeps me busy anyways. What will be helpful for me, this committee, to do going forward next, to really think about going through, is the analysis of needs and the goals and action plan.
Yeah.
We're going to get data out of the survey over the next month, but if you want to review some of that information, that will be helpful.
And what specifically are you looking for? To see if it's updated?
Not so much updated. I can usually kind of tell if it's been updated or if I'm not sure. I'll check with the pertinent department, but just going forward, you're a town resident, you live in town, some of you, for a long time. What do you want to see, at least for the goal-wise in the action plan? What do you see going forward over the next 5-10 years? I mean, chapters 6 through 9 are kind of repetitive. Chapter 6 is the vision. Chapter 7 is an analysis of needs. 8 is goals, and 9 is 5-year action plan. So they kind of overlap a bit. But, you know, in each chapter, I think in the last version, wasn't necessarily very long, you know, a handful of pages for each. So it's just kind of thinking about what you've seen in the last few years or more, if you, depending on how long you lived in town, and what you think that recreational needs, what you think, you know, to preserve open space or, you know, protect the environment, types of things you like to see being done. Yeah, we'll get the more robust information from the survey, but you should think about it yourselves too.
Yeah, I have my own thoughts, but you're right. I think that the survey will drive a lot of that in terms of where the residents come back when, you know, what they'd like to see us focus on and have for objectives.
Yeah.
On the note of the survey, I've spoken to a lot of neighbors just about the survey, and I'd be sharing it with them, and I'd like for them to participate. Some people have already voiced interest in getting more involved. I don't know if anyone has reached out to you, Adam. I know this committee is already full, but specifically with volunteering any time to help with cleanup or removal of trash. I know a lot of people want to be involved in preserving and maintaining open spaces beyond what the DPW can offer. Mm-hmm. So just within my neighborhood, we have some young and very interested participants who really want to get involved somehow. So should I send them to you, Adam, or to someone else?
You can send them to me, and I can help them out best I can, or pass them along to the appropriate person. It's good to hear that people want to get involved. That might be a good reason to keep this committee active. Once this plan is done, I kind of be the organizing committee to put on types of activities, cleanup activities. You know, whether it's one weekend a month, you tackle a stretch of road or a water body or, you know, piece of parkland or whatever it may be. I don't know if that's really been the case in the past. I know there's a town-wide cleanup. I don't think it was held last year because of the pandemic, but I think from what I understand, that's a popular activity. That's only once a year, but.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and I can try to contact some of the surrounding towns to see what kind of things they do. So they don't necessarily have, you know, huge staffs. They often rely on volunteers.
And I know Bill Coyle last meeting said the boys and girls, or the Boy Scouts, or the Scouts. How do we refer to the Scouts now? I think they're pretty involved in those kinds of activities too, so that might be something to keep in mind. But going forward,
one troop pulled out a bunch of trash from the walking trail off the Pappas complex last summer, including a number of tires and such. So I know that's been done, and that's really the kind of activity that is really helpful. Is just cleaning up the trash. It accumulates, unfortunately, far too fast, or in something like the tires. Those tires might have been there for years and years. And they're an issue, especially with the rise in the mosquito population and those diseases.
All right, next item on the agenda was, where is it? Identifying priority preservation areas. Is that something you wanted to discuss further, or is that just what you were noting as far as chapter 6 through 9 is concerned?
Yeah, that was kind of just a continuation of the same theme. If there are specific areas that the committee is looking to preserve, whether it's town should acquire properties or pursue if they become available, or assist landowners if they want to, register as a Chapter 61 land, or if there's certain town land that is not perpetually protected. I'm not sure how some of it is actually protected as being town owned. Doesn't mean somebody can't necessarily purchase it in the future. That's, the town owns a lot of small parcels that, aren't really ever going to be developed, but they acquired them through various means, whether they were gifted or, tax title or however they may have been acquired. It's just kind of a open question to look at to see if there's any areas that should be targeted for more preservation. One of the tactics that zoning does is in the rural residential district requires a larger parcel to be developed. So I think it's upwards of 2 acres. That I think it's 160. So 160,000 square feet. I think the parcel. I'd have to look that up. So that's kind of a way to preserve some of the open space on those sides of town, particularly Rochdale Street and the western and southern side of town. Those are zoned rural residential, so you can't carve them up into 1/4 acre lots. They have to be, I think, 2 acre lots, which is kind of a way to keep some of the larger lots, some of the scenic aspects in place. Like actually in New Braintree,
Makes sense.
the smallest lot you can have is 2 acres. So they like their ruralness. They want to
I think is that the case also in Paxton?
Sorry?
Is that also the case in Paxton, right next door?
Probably. I know I used to work in Paxton for a couple of years, and I know they don't really like, they like the way the town is.
Yeah.
They don't want development. They don't want a lot of business. They want to keep it small.
Snob law, right?
If the zoning is designed that way.
Well, I think that completes all the items on the agenda. Was there any other business that you planned on discussing at all or addressing tonight, Adam?
Not specifically. The big thing was a survey. I haven't received minutes yet from Nathan. Hopefully he'll have those ready for the next meeting. I want to just update this committee on the MVP project. I'm not sure if you've heard about that. Scott, you probably heard about it, but the MVP project, the town was awarded a grant last fall. part of the grant is to do some civil engineering to replace some culverts on Sword Street. But another piece I think is of more interest to this committee is there's a public outreach to improve the water quality of Leesville Pond. That's going to be kicking off into the higher gear over the next month and a half. There'll be flyers, some public outreach. There's going to be a sign going up. The idea is to work with Worcester, the property owners in the area, to try to educate them about ways they can improve the water quality there. The water quality is not the best. Blackstone Watershed Coalition does some testing in that area every year, and there's often issues with high levels of phosphorus, and it's not the best water flow, and there's most likely part of the problem might be a lot of runoff from the roads and people using pesticides or herbicides on their lawns, and that contributes to algae blooms and such. So,
is this the one that abuts the Swedish cemetery
yes,
and 290?
yes.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a lot of.
it's a tough site, tough pond. And there's only a culvert that goes from one side of 290 to the other. It's not an open span, so that impacts the water quality also. But we got a grant to try to educate people about this, so I figured that would be of interest, and I can, as the information becomes available, I can provide it to everybody.
Can I ask a question about Leesville Pond? Because actually one of my interested neighbors lives right near it. They just moved here recently, and they were wondering if there is public access to it. If they were to kayak or canoe in there, I had no idea if there's any public access.
I don't believe so. There's nothing in Auburn. I suppose you could try with Worcestershire, but there is a number of properties like on Hope Ave, right behind where Hadron Park is. That area, there's a lot of properties there. There's 7 houses right there, so I don't know if there's technically any public access or not. The cemetery is there.
Yeah, we always see it from the cemetery. There are paddle boats in the water parked, just floating in there, but I've never seen anyone boating in there. I've seen people fishing off. That's it.
Yeah, I really don't know much about the makeup of the lake. I don't know how deep it is or anything, or how weedy it is. I've never seen a engine-powered boat in that pond, but there is an association. There's a lake association, and I guess they are active, and we have that one in some of our meetings. So.
And they're part of it?
Yeah.
So it's a lake association for many of the lakes in Worcester, or is this a separate entity? Okay.
Just Leesville Pond. It's a Leesville association.
Okay. I'll let them know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, have a good night. I got to jump over to the other meeting.
Okay.
Scott,
Thanks.
take care. Okay, so should we make a motion to conclude tonight's meeting, or?
Yep, I think that's all I have. Again, it was mainly the survey that I want to finalize and be good, and so I'll send out some more drafts once they're ready. The next meeting is scheduled for March 1st.
March 1st. All right. Well, let's hope we don't get any more snow.
just tomorrow, hopefully that's it.
Yeah.
So, do you want a motion?
All right. Can I make a motion?
Yeah, no, I'll make that motion to adjourn.
A second?
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Aye. All right.
Have a great night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Aye.